Oh, man. It is funny. I feel like I really wish Breitling had not put this drawer here because it would be so much more comfortable.
Oh, we need all the storage. We need all the storage we can get in this joint.
Interesting drawer. So let me just, this is the behind the scenes.
Breitling does everything well. What are you talking about?
It's great.
Brought to you by Breitling.
Pinchy. Yeah. It has been interesting as a car guy, which we both are. You know, I feel like you're actually driving your stuff more now, which is like exciting to see, and not in like trying to like diss or anything, but I feel like, you know, people get these incredible things, and then the actual usability day to day just typically isn't there. So
no one wants a garage queen.
No, but it's like
it happens to people pretty easily sometimes. But
yeah,
they have one thing in mind, and then a different direction comes up when life gets in the way. But
yeah,
but well, no, I mean, they're made to be driven, just like watches are made to be worn.
Absolutely,
you know?
And like when you get into, we'll say Porsche generally. You know, even the more kind of aggressive GT cars are now so reliable and good. There's no reason kind of to not daily drive it. Like if it's a RS or something, like that's probably a little rough.
Around town,
but,
it's a bit much.
I don't know, I think it's fun. So.
Yeah, I think analogous. Sorry, the drum beat for "In the Air Tonight" just came out.
It kind of is setting the mood in here. I kind of like it.
A lot of analogies between cars and watches.
Yeah.
Watches are made to be worn, cars are made to be driven. The guy who is so worried about scratching the underside of his buckle on his watch is the same guy who's going to put the car away and not drive it because he doesn't want to get road rash on it. And you're like, what's the point? You know?
Right.
So
PPF is an entirely different thing.
Yeah.
But I think the trend I hate the most right now in watches are the stupid little pre-cut plastic things. I don't know if, I'm sure you've seen this.
I'm not going to call anyone out, but this came up on a trip I was on for spring break with my kids. And this came up in discussion. And I certainly have one opinion on it. Other people have another, but I was open-minded about it because the person who was talking about it was very bullish on it. And I was like, okay, you know, to each their own. But to me, to me, it's like, okay, it just shows how you're going to wear the watch. You're going to be too thoughtful about, I mean, once again, to each their own. I don't know. I don't have a dog in the fight, but I think it's insane to think about applying little pieces of plastic to your watch with tweezers and then wearing the watch delicately.
I think it's interesting in the fact of you're saving the watch for the next person. So you're putting all the protection on it and keeping it pristine. But there are different personality types.
Like maybe someone is so OCD about not damaging their watch that truly it would drive them absolutely bonkers to get these scratches on the watch. Okay, but I think at large, it is kind of silly to think about applying plastic to your watch.
I would say
my blunt opinion, you know, just an opinion.
Yeah, so. Don't do it.
Speaking of watches,
we'll jump into the episode today. Today I'm wearing the IWC Mark 20. It's one of the newest acquisitions. This is an interesting one because I was talking to someone before we got on here. It's the pinnacle of, to me, a category of just a watch. So like it is a somewhat no frills. This is a blue dial. There's a black dial that I would say is even less frivolous, if you will. But it's such a cool tool watch. 40 millimeters, 10.8 millimeters thick, 120 hour power reserve. It's just a phenomenal one. And I hate, it's such a trope to say, and we've said it on here before a couple times, but truly in that, let's call it in the new $5,000 to $7,000 category. Pick this up on a bracelet if you want. I did not. This came on leather, but get it on a bracelet and then have a couple different straps. This has the cool
quick release straps.
Quick release. So if you're on a vacation, you don't want to necessarily bring your spring bar, remover kit. You can have it on the bracelet and then you can throw it on the rubber. I've been wearing it on a NATO quite a lot, which looks really nice. But it's just a great watch.
It is.
And I think, about we're on week 5 or 6 of me being here full time. Mm-hmm. When you're entrenched in watches truly all the time, I think it's cool to have that palate cleanser watch.
Oh, yeah.
That levels it down. So this has been like a nice what is it called? Like an amuse-bouche. Like it's kind of clearing the palate, if you will.
It's a little piece, of little plate of sorbet.
It's a little something to
between
kind
dishes.
of get you in there. But
As
truly
delicate as
great
that
watch.
sounds, super awesome tool watch.
It
So
is.
like
Yeah, it's
modern. And we were just gonna talk about fast fashion watches and things that fill these little spots. But like that's a watch that could be a one watch collection, tool watch. It's a beast.
Yeah.
We've talked about it on here before. It's awesome.
And I want to say, so this has 100 meters of water resistant 10 bar. I think the previous version had a little bit less, so it was like questionable-ish to swim in.
Yeah.
But this truly, I mean, we're coming into summer now. It's currently kind of spring.
5-day power reserve.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Checks a lot of
120
boxes.
hours is great. And as a date,
Easily legible.
yeah, highly legible. Going into continuation of tool watches and tools, what do we have on over here?
We'll talk about Tudor a little bit more, for sure, in a minute. But I have the Tudor Black Bay Chrono Dark on.
So good.
Which was brought out originally to celebrate the New Zealand All Blacks.
Yeah.
And still in production technically, but it's only produced when a new All Black is added to the roster.
Very
so
cool.
the number that's produced each year, maybe there's years where there's 0, I don't know. Maybe there's years where there's 7, but it's a very minimal production post the limited edition, which is really cool. So it's not like they're doing it each year; they're just doing it along with the roster of the All Blacks.
Yeah,
you know,
and it looks awesome on the gray strap as well.
Cool. It is a watch that, as you know, admittedly, I don't wear it as much as I would like to, and every time I put it on, it's one of those watches I'll keep on for like 3 weeks, and I'm like, that is awesome. Why don't I wear it more?
Absolutely.
I love it. I think, like a lot of Black Bays, it's got some height to it, but it works so well with the chronograph.
Absolutely.
Fills my wrist almost perfectly.
Yeah.
I love it. And it's just a super fun watch.
Yeah, we'll talk about Tudor a little bit more coming up here, but yeah, incredible watch. Well, it's actually let's dive into it now.
Let's jump on in. What's the topic of today?
We're talking about watches and wonders. We'll cover what it is and then kind of go from there. Predictions, I always find a bit tiresome. We'll talk about some stuff we would maybe like to see, but nobody truly knows, and that's been the interesting thing since joining the team here. You really don't know. Like, there's a few things that come out.
No matter what we say to people are like, okay, the retailers get some heads up or whatever. And we will, to a degree, with some of the larger group brands where they're like, okay, here's an embargoed list of what's coming out in 2 weeks. This is the idea of it. We don't necessarily see every photo. You'll get some heads up from some brands. It's just the way the brands work. And a lot of the media already has them, and they're coming post Watches and Wonders. But then a lot of the other brands, it is just a hard stop.
Yep.
No one knows. The brand reps themselves are learning it the week or two before Watches and Wonders. And then just like anyone else looking at the show, like, day of Swiss time, we'll see. You know? So it's exciting for us too. I
don't know if you've ever seen, it's a little nerdier, but people will look at the it's like the HTML files or whatever on websites to try to find if there's
I remember
new
when
page.
I remember when the Rolex James Cameron Deep Sea launched originally. It was foiled to some extent, because the HTML was pulled in some sort of website. Well, I'm sure that has been I'm sure they've put some defenses up against that. Most of the brands have, but I bet some of the other brands, it's kind of there's deep dark forums where you could probably pull at the strings of a lot of this stuff and find some things. But
I think if you're that into it and nerdy, it's almost a fun Easter egg a little bit to find.
Yeah.
Or cool.
In today's world, there's a lot of, you see X person on a yacht wearing some prototype, watch that no one's seen yet. Is that coming out this year? Is it a one-off? Is it happening at all? Is it fake news? Who knows? So
that was the thing with Land Dweller last year, was it? Was Roger Federer was
right before the show.
Yeah, it was like eating fondue, wearing it in a photo.
And at that point, I think there was public knowledge that Rolex had trademarked the term Land Dweller, but as to what it was going to be or when it was going to happen, it was unknown.
Yeah, it's cool. Let's talk about brands we're kind of excited to see what's coming out. So, we even said before this, we're going to keep this to, as soon as we get to, we'll go like a minute here on Rolex and we'll move on, because I think that's an entire video. I'm going to say really quickly here, I think GMT would be cool. I think a new Submariner color combo of some iteration would be interesting. And then Daytona is always the unknown. But then the 1908, I think, is
a lot of people think there's a moon phase coming. A lot of people think there's a potential calendar piece coming, perpetual calendar or chronograph of some sort. I think it'd be great. I think they should iterate on it. It's such a beautiful watch.
Absolutely.
I think moon phase will probably. So to take a step back and we'll shift to Tudor for a second. A lot of people are saying ever since the Acquired podcast about Rolex, a lot of people have been saying Tudor's kind of the experimental zone for Rolex, the playground, the sandbox to then bring out future, Rolex models.
Right.
And Tudor did launch a moon phase, in the 1926.
Well, and Cellini previously had a precious metal moon phase.
That's right.
Nice ringing. We're clearly filming
Somehow
the store
we're
today
filming
a
this
little
at
bit.
the loudest possible moment in the
It's
store.
always so quiet, and then the second we hit record, it's going. So apologies for that.
We should just
try to do
record
that
all
today.
the time, and the clients would always be here.
Yeah,
It'd be great.
absolutely. We got. So Cellini moon phase. There was a precedent for that back in the day.
Yeah, so
See
there's
that
a lot
again.
of reason to believe 1908 is coming with a moon phase or something, or maybe there's a moon phase in a different watch. Maybe it's Landweller with the moon phase. I mean, who knows?
Landweller dials would be interesting.
I don't want to spend too much time on the big R because
We are over time already, but we'll another minute.
It's a slippery slope, first of all. But I'm sure they'll do something awesome. I think they had their biggest year ever last year, not just with Landweller, but with different Daytona iterations, with everything that came out. It was just a crazy year of releases. And I've said this a million times, but some of the sort of side releases last year would be the hero product in a lot of years. So, there were just so many releases. I think this is probably the year where, to your point, Sub or Daytona is iterated on to some extent, where there's maybe a new something in terms of a base color or something. We've had black and white Daytona for a long time now.
Sure.
There's been a lot of speculation on that. There's been speculation on size increase there. I don't necessarily see that happening, but maybe.
Yeah.
These are all the little rabbit holes we can go down. But I would say sub or maybe extending bracelet options on some of these things. We'll see.
Absolutely.
So let's shift away from them though.
Next brand, we're just gonna slide into Tudor.
Yeah.
Tudor chronograph. You're wearing one today.
Should be a monster
Would be
year
incredible.
for Tudor. Tudor chronograph. It's Tudor's 100-year anniversary.
Right.
There's no question it's going to be a big year for Tudor. I
Absolutely.
bet you it'll be a big year, not just of Watches and Wonders, but I bet throughout the year, I'm sure there'll be some later in the year releases.
Sure.
I think it'll be a huge year for Tudor. I think I could see a vertical chronograph coming back, depending on what they're doing movement-wise. I could see them coming back with another iteration of the home plate or their heritage chrono that they had relaunched in 2012 or 2013. I think that another version of that would be wonderful. But I think certainly we'll see chronographs. I think a lot of people think they'll expand their GMTs.
GMT, the Pelagos GMT would be really interesting. Even the Tudor Pro. So the Black Bay Pro is a really phenomenal watch. It's one that I'd still probably like at some point, but a just slightly thinned down version I think would be really interesting.
I think we might see a standalone piece. You think about the P01 from a couple of years ago.
Oh, man.
Super oddball watch. I own one. I love it. Definitely not for everyone. I would say it's not for most people, probably. But it's a really unique watch.
Absolutely.
I could see Tudor coming back with another prototype-esque watch or something that's a little bit of an oddball just to make a statement.
Absolutely.
That has some heritage at the same time. I think they'll surprise us this year. And they might come up with a whole new collection that's not even there,
Another rose dial would be quite interesting. A
There's
smile dial with a rose.
no question. I don't know about the smile, but there's no question that the rose should come back to some degree. I think there's such lore there, and I think so many people simply, the shield's wonderful, but so many people simply recognize the rose and love the rose, and I think I could see that. Maybe that's the piece. Maybe they come back with one heritage rose piece, but remains to be see.
IWC, selfishly, Ingenieur, I think, they already have a phenomenal lineup of Ingenieur, but expanding from there would be quite good. The Portuguesers are obviously always really cool. The Mark, I feel like this is kind of what it needs to be, but Ingenieur and Portuguese would be cool.
know this. Did zero research going into this. IWC tends to focus on one collection at a time, and that's generally their Watches and Wonders event. And I do not recall which year we're on here in the rotation. So we'll maybe loop back around to that because they may have one or two outlier pieces, but they'll focus on one collection. Big time.
Portofino would be cool as well.
Portofino, they need some. The brand's been rocking. It's been firing on all cylinders, but no reason not to keep, evolving.
Absolutely. Patek, obviously, a quite big one.
Oh, yeah. Another big anniversary. It's 50th anniversary of the Nautilus this year. We should probably leave that there.
Not green or blue. We've already done that, but I've seen some predictions with the burgundy. That would be interesting.
I don't think it's just about colors. I think
Yeah.
it's about, are we looking at, 50 years, do we do a retro throwback piece entirely? Do we do multiple watches? Do we do high complication Nautilus? Could be a little bit of all of that. I think there'll be men's and ladies models for the anniversary.
Sure.
My personal hope as a retailer of Patek Philippe, when anything comes out like this, there's a lot of commotion around it and a lot of excitement, and then it ends in a lot of people feeling that they're unfortunately not the ones to get it.
Yeah.
I would like to know that maybe there's watches that are not just a one and done watch. Maybe they're in the collection for some time, but they sort of, are anniversarying the 50, but they're going to be a multi-year run. Would be nice to see.
I have an interesting one. Cubitus. It has a lot of controversy around it. It has grown on me over the time that it's been out. I think size-wise, there's a nice medium-ish range that they could do. I think it could be kind of interesting. I'm not giving up on Cubitus.
Oh,
I think.
No, Cubitus is. Cubitus is here to stay. It's going to keep evolving. They'll certainly have some iterations on it this year. I do think the focus will be, at least sometime in the year, will be Nautilus, because it's the 50th. There's no question. I think Patek will have. Already, we've talked about Patek when we've just talked about 2 of their sport collections.
Right.
They will continue to push the limits on complication. I think they'll. My hope would be like the 6159G, the smoky dial retrograde perpetual calendar from this past year.
Yeah.
I hope they keep coming out with those high comp but dress casual watches. That, I think, is the future of Patek Philippe.
Yeah.
Everything's the future of Patek Philippe, but that is kind of like the next hurrah, I think.
Yeah.
And I would expect more of that type of watch out of Patek.
Absolutely. Even the platinum salmon dial Calatrava that came out.
6196P.
Incredible.
They will bring out more colors of that, I'm sure, if not this year, in the coming years, because that's just a great timeless piece.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
So let's take kind of a quick step back here.
Yep.
When I was getting into watches, it was Baselworld and SIHH.
Yep.
And then was it through, I think, COVID, that Watches and Wonders started off as more of a digital thing and then evolved into, or were they already around?
My admittedly foggy memory is that Watches and Wonders had kind of started evolving or developing, but it was separate from SIHH.
Correct.
Separate from Baselworld. That could be wrong. We will figure that out and
we'll
put
it up
something
on the screen. But
what I can actively say is that for many years as a retailer, we were dividing our time between the SIHH show, which was usually very early in the year, January or February, and then Baselworld, which is a little later, March or April. So we're generally going Q1 into Q2 twice, if not more, to Switzerland.
Yeah.
Baselworld being in Basel, SIHH being in Geneva.
Right.
I loved Baselworld. Mm-hmm. I think Baselworld was just a special show. It was culturally very interesting. Basel is a smaller town. The food was interesting. It was a fun place just to be as both a retailer and almost a tourist. But I think it has been a smart move for everything to converge on Geneva.
Sure.
The main reason being there are so many fun brand activations around the town. Mm-hmm. It's a bigger place. There's more places to stay. But most importantly is you're really close to a lot of the manufacturers themselves, their salons, their HQs, their manufacturing facilities, and you can get a better sense of the brands versus just being in their little, large township within these conventions.
Sure.
So SIHH was originally kind of this Richemont Group Forward event that is now merged with all these brands. I think it has been mostly a good thing. Mm-hmm. It is a little bit more of a luxury show versus this fun watch and jewelry enthusiast show for the industry. So it's a little different feel, maybe a little colder, but a wonderful show overall. And it makes sense politically to be in Geneva.
Sure. Again, so you are going in as a retailer and you are buying, there are obviously releases throughout the year, but this is, let's say, kind of your biggest or one of the biggest buying times. As someone sitting at home on Instagram, it looks very prestigious and exciting and fun, and I'm sure it is at times. But, what is the reality like of you're doing a quite long flight?
Yeah.
I mean, it is getting there.
It is
fortunate to go.
It is nothing I would
but-
ever gripe about. It is a fun trip. It is long days. I mean, we get up, you shuttle over to the show. You have breakfast, shuttle over to the show.
Yeah.
Your first appointment is generally about 9, so it's
Okay.
not bad. But you're frazzled from
Jet lag.
Yeah,
and
you're
all
jet
different
lag.
kind of stuff.
9 to 5 or 6, and then you're
Yeah.
pretty much every night we're going to have some sort of fun brand activation, a brand dinner or a brand cocktail hour, followed by something. And back in the day, that was another thing thinking about Basel World. We're sitting in Breitling World here, but Breitling used to do these unbelievable out of third party, just wild shows, these parties every night, to the scale of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I don't know, an evening, but over the course of the show. And you don't see as much of that, but you do see more brand activations. You might have dinner at brand headquarters one night, see a little bit behind the scenes things, not so much product focused, but hey, this is the room we actually do this in, but you're having dinner in here tonight. It's like that type of thing. A lot of fun. But I mean, I have no complaints about going, but I will say it's still work for me, but it is fun work. It is definitely a fun part of the job. Yeah. And you were talking about buying, we are buying, but a lot of these brands work on an allocation now. So a lot of times we're seeing the new models and we are maybe looking at colorways, but you have a base inventory for most brands. So, you kind of aren't picking and choosing each and every piece. You're kind of saying, okay, maybe we're getting 50 watches for this upcoming, release. We're sort of putting our opinion on them based on our market, but you're going to get the watches one way or another.
Absolutely.
So it's pretty interesting.
I want to wrap here on, I think, an interesting point. Because you had so many people in 2020 getting into watches, it's felt like every year, Watches and Wonders is the Super Bowl of watches, and if a brand doesn't have an incredible release, they've fallen off. What are they doing? Talk a little bit about, you've been in the industry, it's 2010, 2011, something like that.
16 years or something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
long, but not long.
Yeah, long. It feels like we're falling into a fast fashion Instagram trend thing. Yeah. There's a danger to that, but what do you see on the positive side of the horizon?
Yeah.
With that.
Yeah. Well, to that whole point about people just being more aware of Watches and Wonders, 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, I've been going there since before I was even at Windsor or in the industry.
Sure.
I was going with my father. You did not have really clients involved in Watches and Wonders or at the time Basel World or SIHH unless they were there as a guest with you and maybe you showed them around a little bit, you got them in. Usually you'd have to sort of finagle a pass from some brand to get your extra associate in.
Sure.
Now, every year we see a parabolic, growth. We see parabolic growth in the amount of time and space and effort made for public days at these shows. So that wasn't really even a thing some years ago, and now every year it's a bigger part of the show.
Yeah.
So there's more of that marketing to the public side of this in the first place now, and we see it change every year.
Yeah.
The question is, are some brands catering their releases for that flash impact of that versus some that are thinking decades ahead and just doing things because it's the way they do them? And there's kind of a hybrid of that going on.
Absolutely.
But a lot of it is to make sure they have the right moments captured during these public days, that the right celebrity figures that are there are also just conveniently wearing the watch. I mean, we see more and more and more of that. But it's also really exciting for the watch world because you realize this is something that has so much interest that there can be public days. Like a lot of industries would be privileged. Like if you went to the screw and bolt and
convention.
Hardware fastener convention and they were like, oh, we're also going to have 3 public days for people to come in and see our screws, bolts, and door fasteners.
For me, the fire safety industry, previous to here,
So were there public days for the fire safety industry?
There were not. No.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it speaks to the energy and the growth of the industry.
Yeah.
But that being said, it could go too far too. So we want to make sure it doesn't actually influence why the brands are manufacturing what they're manufacturing.
Absolutely. Well, I think that puts a nice bow on it. very excited to see what comes out. There'll be a lot of tech. I don't envy you, especially during that week with the amount of text you probably have coming in.
Yeah, it's wild.
I've sat with you in the car for long periods of time, and like it's all ready. You get blown up.
That's
quite
not putting
a
me
bit,
on a pedestal. It's anyone that's
No.
in this industry. When it's a release time,
It's just a
it'd
madhouse.
be just like if a new GT car came out and every
Yeah.
collector, So it is wild, and but once
Yeah.
again, that is a great situation for these brands
Sure.
to be in. It's a great situation for us to be in. It is an exciting time. We just want to try to make as many people happy along the way as we can within reason.
Absolutely. As always, thank you guys for watching so much. We'll do a recap video when Ben gets back.
Let's do it.
Some fun B-roll that he shoots there. But as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.